Hi Booktube, this is Kelly. Thank you so much for watching my channel, Books I'm Not Reading. I am here today with another Shaketember video. Shaketember being our month-long celebration of all things Shakespeare. I am a host along with Nicole at A Day of Small Things and my husband Jason from Old Blues Chapter and Verse. And this year we kind of shook things up a little bit. Historically, it's just been about reading plays and discussing those plays. And this year we kind of gave ourselves a little bit more room. And so I have read, I read a history book, The Year of Lear, about the plays that Shakespeare wrote that they believe were written in 1606. And I also read Judi Dench's book, Shakespeare, The Man Who Pays the Rent. Oh my God. If this book could be a stuffed animal, I would hug it. Before I get into this, I just want to say a special thank you to my Ko-fi supporters who have allowed me to take some extra time and allowed me to try to improve my reviews and my videos, and so they are all thanked down below, but I especially want to thank Nathan and Stuart and Loretta, but they're all listed down below with the exception of the people who I felt wanted to be anonymous. Anyway, so this book, I just have gone back and forth all year about buying this book, and then one of you graciously, wonderfully sent it to me because I just don't really buy new books. The hardcover price of this in America is $32, and that's just a lot of money for one book. Nonetheless, I would really recommend, checking out from your library if the price is too much, or those of you who enjoy audiobooks can listen to the book. Just know that Judi Dench is not, she does not read the book. Judi Dench, who is going to turn 90 in December, has macular degeneration and she is losing her vision. And instead of, because she's Judi Dench, she's taken up drawing and trying to help people with visual impairments learn to draw. And so her drawings are used in the book, which is just another fascinating aspect of her. This isn't a traditional memoir. It doesn't go into great depth about her personal life. I get the sense that Judi Dench is a private person, but the title comes from the expression that she and her husband used about Shakespeare, that he was the man who paid the rent, because they were both actors, and I had no idea how many Shakespeare parts Judi Dench had played. I had no idea about this theater career of hers. Of course, I've seen her in films. She's been nominated for 8 Academy Awards, and she won, funnily enough, she won an Oscar for playing Queen Elizabeth in Shakespeare in Love. This book was the result of 4 years of Brandon O'Hay, who is not somebody I was familiar with. He is the theater director and associate artist at Shakespeare's Globe. And initially, he just wanted to record the interviews and offer their conversations to the archive department at Shakespeare's Globe. So for 4 years, he was recording them talking about all the parts that, well, I don't think it's actually all the parts that Judi Dench has played related to Shakespeare, but there's a lot of plays in here. And so it's kind of, it's written in an interview style. I didn't feel like the interview style really got in the way. He's basically walking her through each play, and how that character develops over the course of the play, and how she played certain things, like what was her interpretation of, it starts off with Lady Macbeth. That's the other thing about the book. It's not in the order in which she played these characters. After reading the book, I think the only major female role that Judi Dench did not play of Shakespeare's is Rosalind from As You Like It, because apparently it's mentioned in the play that Rosalind is tall and Judi Dench is tiny. So I think she's 5'1". I've just been so excited to talk to all of you about this book, and I don't want it to be a book that I just tell you over and over again how much I love it, how much I hope you'll read it, check it out from your library, listen to it on audio, whatever your prefer, get it on your e-reader, whatever the case may be. It's such a gift. This book is such a gift. I'm so glad that it just didn't end up being at the Shakespeare's Globe archive. I'm glad that we all have access to this. One of the things that I think is really challenging every September is that we read plays and maybe we watch film adaptations, and if we're really lucky, if you're a really lucky person, you actually get to go and see some Shakespeare. I live in a place, not a lot of art and culture in the middle of Wyoming. What happens is, though, because we're reading plays and maybe we're watching film adaptations, and again, if you're lucky, you get to see a production. And I think that's where the real magic is, because there's something that happens when you see live theater. And a lot of people have said, they did the Shakespeare Journey tag and was like, oh, I don't really read Shakespeare because it's meant to be performed. And that's why people will tell you, if you're reading Shakespeare and you're struggling with it, to read it out loud. It really does make a difference. It really can help you understand some of the language that we don't know. Although even Judi Dench admits in this book that there were times where there were words that she had no idea, but it was a fun word or whatever, and you just go on, you just carry on with it. The thing that I think is magical about this book is that it gives us an insight into that bridge between reading the play and watching Macbeth in a film adaptation. It gives us a way to see what it's like to try to play. What is it like to play Lady Macbeth? What is it like to play Juliet? What is that? What is it like to play Hermione in Winter's Tale? But it also gives you the perspective, because in live theater, anything can happen. I haven't seen it so much in theater, but I've seen a lot of, I lived in New York City for a summer, and I saw a lot of dance. I saw a lot of dance performed live. It was glorious, just absolutely incredible. But I saw someone fall on stage, and it was so scary. It's very scary when it happens in any kind of setting. But it was really scary, because you're going, is that dancer going to be able to come back out on the stage? And Judi Dench, as this, there's she says she falls over in everything, but there was a time where she fell over and she literally could not get up. And so it's an insight into what is it like when there's a live audience there and things happen, but also what she thinks about Shakespeare, what she thinks about, every once in a while Brandon O'Hay would make a suggestion to her about something, and she's very, very adamant, you know, that that's not in the text. That's not in the text. Doesn't mean that Judi Dench doesn't think that you can play around with that you could interpret it. And Judi Dench always, she said, you know, you have to do your homework. And she would have a whole story, and she wouldn't tell anybody else in the cast. But she, you know, she could have told you what her whole interpretation, her whole the whole life history of Lady Macbeth, because that's what she did to get into character. And so those things that have happened not on the page are sometimes things that are driving her as a character. Her first performance playing Shakespeare was in 1957, so she would have been in her 20s. She played with the Old Vic Company at the Royal Court Theatre, and she played Ophelia. Can you imagine that your first play as a professional theater actor is Ophelia in Hamlet? And she's also played Gertrude in a very, very famous production of Hamlet. I'm not gonna go into that, but yeah, her reviews for her part as Ophelia were not very good. And so the company had, I think, like 3 different plays that were sort of rotating around, and so the director gave her a smaller part in a different play. So it was like you might have a large part in one of those 3 plays, a smaller role in another one, and then the third play, maybe you weren't in it at all, or you were just somebody on the stage to provide the crowd, or that kind of thing. And but here's a picture of her, and this picture is just so beautiful. Here she is in her dressing room. Can you believe, I mean, that is just so, I find that just absolutely breathtaking photo. But again, so Judi Dench kind of lifts this veil on not only the crazy things that are happening behind the curtain, but also what it's like to embody these women that Shakespeare created. Now, unfortunately, some of you will remember, I think it was maybe 2019. I don't know. I did a read-along for Shaketember. I wasn't a host, but I did a read-along of this book that I no longer own called Women of Will, that analyzed Shakespeare's female characters. This is the book that I was hoping, I think, that would have been. I remember from that book, like, that separates it from this is, you know, again, Judi Dench is very much about, like, what did Shakespeare write? What is he saying? What is he trying to communicate through this character? And she's not really into speculating. You know, if it's not on the page, then maybe that's an area, again, for, you know, interpreting it. And also, I think another, you know, beautiful thing about the theater is that you play something one way one night, and the next night, you know, another actor may deliver the line ahead of yours in a completely different way. And so your response is different. The line is the same, but the response is the inflection and the way you say it. Anyway, there are just so many golden gems in this book, and I don't want to spoil it for you. I want you to be able to discover those. I'd love to hear if there was a particularly favorite story of yours in the book. you can share it with me down in the comment section. You can message me on Goodreads or Instagram and let me know what you thought of this book. And even if you've just read part of it, or I'm gonna include some clips down below. Judi Dench was on Graham Norton, I think because of this book, and he asked her to recite some Shakespeare. And of course, Judi Dench has a photographic memory. And so, yeah, she just on the spot, on the fly, without any forewarning, recited a sonnet. So it was beautiful, just absolutely beautiful. So anyway, this book, 5 stars. I feel extremely confident that it's going to be in the top, my top 5 books of the year. It was 5 stars from beginning to end. I just loved it. So I hope you did too. I'd love, but even if you didn't, like, tell me about your reading experience of this, or your experience with this book down below. Tell me, have you seen Judi Dench perform? Do you have a favorite Judi Dench movie? You know, again, like, sometimes that's the only way that some of us can experience these really tremendous theater actors. But I do think Kenneth Branagh has a blurb on the cover that says "A magical love letter to Shakespeare," and I feel like it's also a magical love letter to us who love or appreciate Shakespeare and are now given this completely different insight into these tremendous female characters in his plays. Okay, Booktube, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Next week, I will be back with my last Shaketember video for this year about Macbeth. So I hope you will join me then. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.